Here we are back in Ontario for a week. It's half-term break at school. Now it's funny, when you're growing up in an area, you don't always tend to look at what's immediately around you. I grew up 20 minutes from here, and this is up the road, up Guelph Line, at Crawford Lake Conservation Area. I decided to come here today because this is the reenactment and rebuilding of a native settlement which was pre-colonial, pre-contact. So it's an Iroquois settlement and goes back to 400 years ago. So they've done lots of work in the site, so let's take a look and see what they found. I remember back in primary school we learned about the native population that was in the Hamilton-Burlington area before the Europeans came, and we were always told it was the land of the longhouse. Well, this is a longhouse here. Whole families, all your relatives would live in it, and it tended to be matrilinear, which means you lived with your wife's family or your mother's family. As you can see from the outside, it would be all made of wood with bark covering on the outside to make it waterproof. Let's take a look inside. Inside, everybody would have their own space. Beds would be raised, and quite often some nice fur, keep you warm. And in the center, you have your fire for cooking and for heat. And the tall ceiling would allow the smoke to go up and out through the hole in the center at the top. Still being an active archaeological site, they're finding things on an ongoing basis. The other longhouse we went in was a deer clan because it had a deer on the outside, so that means this one must be wolf clan. Let's take a look inside. We just passed a whole group of school children back there learning about the traditional ways of this area. Now we're taking in some of the trails that are in behind the interpretive center. So, what do you think so far?
I think it's great. And I can see a paperbark birch, which they would have used to make canoes. And we've learnt some Wendat words, such as the word for lake and the word for water, which is very important in this area.
Okay, let's take a look at that birch tree. There we go. There's a whole series of trails around here. Just run down to the lake. This particular one will take us to the edge of the escarpment, the Niagara Escarpment, so we'll be able to take a look out over the canyon and to the other side. Coming up on the edge of the escarpment now. Almost through from the trail.
This is a dogwood tree. You can always tell the dogwood by the way that the veins on the leaf come back to the end of the leaf. And there's another test as well where you can pull the veins apart and there's a tiny thread between the ends of each vein of the leaf.
Well, that's it. Took a nice little walk through the trail. The sun stayed out the whole time. Very nice. And right in the middle of it, we ran into somebody we both know. So you never know. It's a small world.